I'm Arun Singh, and joining us is jury of True Legend, Rabbi Shergill. Very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you.
What was the day like? You've been deciding on so many categories.
It was exhausting, but there was some sparkling conversations, and one got to see so much of good in India. It was very rewarding in the end.
And you've been here for so many years. Of course, we all know Bulla Ki Jana. And then all these years, have you been following what's been happening in the entertainment and music scene? Because you were the one who brought, philosophical Punjabi literature, clubbing with pop. And now, of course, times have changed. Have you been following?
I try to keep up with it. I am fairly, you would say, well abreast, but every now and then there are some gaps in my knowledge which get filled up when I come to places like this.
But what are your thoughts on the music scene?
Well, it's a good scene to be a musician right now. When we were starting out, there weren't too many places where you could go and perform, for instance. And over here, a young guy can really earn a living even if they haven't made a name for themselves. Another thing is where these people are at disadvantage is that we had a music press of a functioning music press. So your album came out, there were smart people who were musicians themselves and who are now journalists. They would write about your music. They would point faults in your music. So there was a lot of push and pull happening, which I think that's the kind of positive friction you need to grow as an artist. I'm not so sure if that is what's there for new artists right now. Sure, there's lots of social media, but there is not smart people well versed with music and arts and philosophy, picking your music apart. There's nothing like that. I mean, you might not like it at the time, but that's the one thing that'll help you grow. So, yeah.
And what does the future of young India's musicians look like? Of course, we've talked about present, as you've mentioned here.
I think India is a vast country, and it's cyclical. Even at its lowest ebb, you might think there's not much getting produced, but it's a vast leviathan rolling in the deep. You never know what's going to come up to the surface. I have great hopes. It's just too big and too vast and just too layered and too deep for good stuff to not come out for a long time. There's plenty of good stuff from what I'm told, and I'm still here. I'm still, I'm still got my hands up.
100%.
So it's looking good.
And it's definitely, a lot of content being put, as you also mentioned, and sometimes it is overwhelming. Hence, it's all the more important that you stand out. And that's what we are essentially honoring, people who stood out. How do you define a true legend?
Somebody who left the field in a better state with his intervention than he found it. So basically, you should have improved your field and society in general. I'd say Lucky Ali, for instance, if you take Lucky Ali, you didn't have those kinds of songs before that. Songs which spoke about deep stuff and which had some sort of existential quality to them. So certainly there was that. So here was I trying to walk the same road, and he just paved the road for me. So I think those are some of the considerations, some of the parameters I might use to define a legend. A legend should, his music should form a backstory to your life. It should be a snapshot of your life. It should
reflect your life.
It should point north. It should be the moral compass of our times. You could be talking about almost anything, but what you really want in the end is there some conscience in there? Sometimes the conscience may not be at the forefront. It could well be at the back. A lot of Dylan's music is conscientious music without being conscientious. So a lot of music in the 50s and 60s is conscientious, where it talks about us. Music, I think people like myself who've had the privilege of going to good schools, receiving decent education, should not cut themselves off from the people who work for us, people who are cleaning our roads, pumping our gases or watering our gardens, because they're working for you. So an artist's job is also to give back to those people.
Sure.
We should never lose sight of the little guy.
Just coming to that, a lot of bright names in the music category. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
We have Diljit, Kanika Kapoor, Neha Kakkar, Palak Muchal, Sophia Ashraf. So you have a rapper. Diljit is more of a producer, singer, actor.
Sophia Ashraf, is that a name? I mean, she seems like a bright story. I would like to keep an eye on her and track her. Otherwise, Neha is a fantastic singer. That entire family is very talented. But it's hard to look past Diljit. Like I said, he's a bona fide, global star. He's out there and doing his thing, and he's making all of us proud. And his heart is in the right place with his charitable work, with a whole bunch of other things. You saw during the farmers' protest, there he was, and there was it was a great risk to stick your neck out at that time. Nobody else was sticking the neck out, but there he was. So it tells you a little bit about where his heart is. So I think the future of Indian music is bright.
Thank you so very much. With that, we've come to an end of this video. That's Arun Singh signing off.